Hello, I'm Dr. Walter Koroshetz, the director of the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda in the USA. And I want to thank the European Brain Council for allowing me to deliver this short message, hoping that you have a really productive a European neuroscience meeting during this time of COVID here in the US. Everything is done remotely, but we found that we can really do quite a good job in terms of communicating scientific material on the web. So I hope you have a similar success. I wanted to say that the Neurologic Institute and the other neuroscience institutes at NIH all see our efforts as global. We fund teams of neuroscientists that include people from all over the world, especially Europe. And we incorporate all the research that's done in Europe into our plans for the future here in the US. Neuroscience prior to COVID was the largest bucket of funding in science at the National Institutes of Health. And so the efforts that are being done by multiple institutes, which come together in what's called the Blueprint for Neuroscience here at NIH, is really quite extraordinary. We have always tried to keep our research bottom up. So most of our funding goes to researchers who submit grants, trying to get study sections to agree that their work is meritorious enough to be funded by the taxpayers. And again, many of these grants have European co-investigators, and many of the grants have trainees who come to the US from Europe. And so I think we have really close ties, and we would love to see those continue and even expand. We have a number of signature projects that are ongoing besides for our, what I call bread and butter research funding, and those I would say fall in three main areas. And the Congress of the US has appropriated funds for each of these three separately. One is called the Brain Initiative, which is a total focus on developing technologies to understand how information is processed in brain circuits. And of course, for those of us interested in neurological disorders, those circuit dysfunctions are what causes the symptoms and the disability in patients who suffer from those disorders. In some of these disorders, we know what the underlying pathology is by looking in the brain, but in many, say like chronic pain, schizophrenia, depression, Tourette's, we really don't see anything when we look in the brain, and yet the circuits are clearly malfunctioning. So trying to get tools that allow us to dissect out these circuits would be incredibly important. And the amazing thing about the Brain Initiative is that the tools have come along, and right now, particularly in the mouse, there's really quite spectacular ability to both monitor and modulate and map neural circuits. So that program is about halfway through, and there's a new report that came out about a year ago or so, which is a roadmap for the second half of the Brain Initiative. And Dr. John Nye is now the director of that Brain Initiative. So we're really looking forward to that. And that actually has lots of people from Europe and other countries on the teams working in the Brain Initiative. The second one is what we call Alzheimer's and Alzheimer's related dementia research. And so Congress has appropriated about $2 billion a year for this purpose to the National Institute of Aging. And we, along with the National Institute of Aging, work together to try and understand the biology underlying Alzheimer's and frontotemporal dementia, the vascular contribution to dementia, and Lewy body disease, or what's otherwise oftentimes known as dementia and Parkinson's. And those are the Alzheimer-related dementias, along with Alzheimer's. And so a tremendous amount of research going on in that space in the US right now. And the third one is what we call the HEAL Initiative, helping to end addiction long-term. And that one has two components to it. One, as one might imagine, is to try and reduce the overdose deaths due to opioid intoxication and to prevent opioid addiction and to treat opioid addiction. And the second part is actually to develop non-addictive pain therapies that are effective, because many of the chronic pain conditions that we'll suffer with now are really not well treated with opioids, and oftentimes can lead to more problems than they solve. And so having effective drugs that are not addictive would be a tremendous asset. And so that's the HEAL initiative. And so I'd ask folks to keep your eye out for research going on in these three areas, along with tremendous number of other really fantastic projects, both in understanding how the nervous system works, and then also in using that knowledge to try to develop better treatments to reduce the burden of neurologic disease. So with that, I urge you all to renew your efforts after COVID and get to work. We have a lot of challenges to overcome, but there's a lot of people who are waiting for our solutions for their neurologic and psychiatric and substance abuse disorders. So good luck and have a great meeting. And hopefully we'll get together soon once this virus thing is over. So thank you very much.